All right, everybody's all set? All right, we're going to open the public hearing on proposed local law number 3 of 2021 in relation to park hours. And the purpose of the public hearing is years ago, decades ago, I think, the town board at the time included in its local ordinance the specific hours of operation for recreational facilities, which I believe is from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And that does not give the town board any discretion in adjusting those hours. So we thought it was prudent to change the ordinance to allow the town board to have the authority at its discretion to change hours as necessary to meet the season. So that is the purpose of the public hearing. So with that, I'd ask the clerk to read the notice of the public hearing in the record.
Town of Monroe notice of public hearing to consider adoption of local law. Notice is hereby given pursuant to section 20 of the Municipal Home Rule Law of the State of New York that a public hearing will be held by the town board of the town of Monroe on October 26, 2021 at 6:35 p.m. at the town municipal complex located at 351 Reynolds Road, Monroe, New York, for the purpose of considering the adoption of local law number 3 of 2021. If adopted, local law number 3 of 2021 would repeal section 102-1 park hours and replace it in its entirety with language allowing town park hours to be set by resolution of the town board. Written comments on local law number 3 of 2021 will be submitted to the town clerk up and through the time of the public hearing. A copy of the proposed local law number 3 of 2021 can be obtained at the Monroe Town Municipal Complex and on the town's website. That was published on October 16th.
Thank you. And so the actual text of the local law, very brief, reads that section 102-1 of the Code of the Town of Monroe will be amended to read as follows. Section 102-1 shall be repealed in its entirety, and new section 102-1 shall be as follows. 102-1 to read, town park hours shall be set from time to time by resolution of the town board. So has any member of the public signed up requesting to speak? And while we're checking that, have we received any correspondence?
No.
No, there's no one raising their hand.
So I'll ask if any member of the public wishes to be heard on proposed local law 3 of 2021. Hearing none, we will close the public hearing. And we need a vote to formally close that, council, or are we good?
No, you're okay.
Okay, all right. So we, it's anticipated, it's an agenda item that we'll be acting on this at the regular town board meeting shortly after 7 p.m. At this time, I'll open the public hearing in relation to proposed local law 4 of 2021 in relation to solar energy systems pilots. And ask that the clerk please read the notice of public hearing in the record.
Town of Monroe notice of public hearing to consider adoption of local law. Notice is hereby given pursuant to section 20 of the Municipal Home Rule Law of the State of New York that a public hearing will be held by the town board of the town of Monroe on October 26, 2021 at 6:40 p.m. at the town municipal complex located at 351 Reynolds Road, Monroe, New York, for the purpose of considering the adoption of local law number 4 of 2021. If adopted, local law number 4 of 2021 would be included in the code of the town of Monroe as Solar Energy System Pilot Law of the town of Monroe, New York. Written comments on local law number 4 of 2021 can be submitted to the town clerk up and through the time of the public hearing. A copy of proposed local law number 4 of 2021 can be obtained at the Monroe Town Municipal Complex and on the town's website, published October 16th.
Thank you for that. Just a couple items before we invite the public to weigh in. Take out the microphone. In New York State, that's much better. In New York State, the state mandates that the assessor's office accept Form RP 487 under the real property tax regulation, solar and wind exemptions. And what this does is it exempts the value of all real property associated with solar projects from property taxes for 15 years. And this recent change to the real property tax law is part of the state's effort for New York State to go green under a former governor. Under a former governor, there was adopted legislation that would make the state obtain 50% of its energy through renewable resources by 2030, if I'm not mistaken. So to ensure that no tax dollars are lost, the town is allowed to enter into a pilot agreement with solar developers or the system owner. Pilot money is collected in annual payments. They cannot exceed the amount of tax that would have been owed without the exemption in place. Typically, pilots are negotiated for a 15-year duration, and then there's a one-time extension of another 10, after 10 years for another 15 years. The taxing jurisdictions have the option to opt out of accepting these exemptions and allow solar farms to be fully taxable. If you recall, the town board did not opt out. So the town of Monroe, Saratoga County, or the Southwest Falls School District, actually all three of them have not opted out of this proposal. However, Hudson Falls School District, which receives revenue from property that's in their school district in our industrial park, has opted out of accepting the exemption and did this way back in 1991. I dare say probably before solar energy was, the technology was refined. So anyway, that's the backdrop on it. This gives the town the ability to negotiate those contracts, and the purpose of the public hearing is to allow the public to weigh in on the proposal. So at this time, I would ask any member of the public if they wish to be heard on proposed local law number 4 of 2021. Yeah. And while we're checking for anybody online, have we received any correspondence to enter into the record?
No, no.
Doesn't appear that anybody online has opted to raise their hand to be heard. But nobody here.
Okay, so I'll ask one more time if anybody wishes to be heard on proposed local law number 4 of 2021.
I did have a question. Something they said about how it's been 15 years with a possible extension. If
After 10 years, you can extend it for 15, correct?
After 15, you can extend for 10.
Oh, got it backwards.
after, so 25 total, you could potentially. If it's not extended, can the property be taxed after the 15 years?
Once the exemption expires after 15 years, the property is on the assessment roll and is fully taxed.
Okay. At what level is it?
By year 15, the value of the solar is reduced drastically. I can't give you an exact number
No.
because I would have to know all the.
So I'm thinking, like within the industrial park, there's Nexan wants to do a project down there. And we're offering a pilot for 15 years. being as industrial property, and I'm just thinking that would that value of the property be greater than the value of the property being industrial or agricultural area? Or would it be the same?
That's something that we'd have to look into on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
Yeah, any member of the public wish to be heard? Hearing none, close the public hearing.
The hammer crop.
Now we are on to the audit meeting. You all set? You all set? Yes. Okay, I'd like to call the audit meeting to order and ask the town clerk for attendance.
Councilmember Hogan,
Here.
Councilmember Noonan,
Here.
Councilmember Van Tassel,
Here.
Councilmember Donahue,
Here.
Supervisor Kusniers.
Here. You have the folder?
I do.
All right, we've got 3 items for discussion this evening. Actually, do we have all signatures for?
Everything was signed, yes.
The first one I have is for a voucher from our Dalrymple Company Incorporated in relation to invoice 197117 for repair of the gas pump outside the highway garage. I have, well, first of all, as the board is aware by resolution, the highway superintendent only has the authority to authorize expenditures up to $2,000. And this, when we got the bill, was for $2,529.68. The highway superintendent is not here. I did try to reach out to him. I did reach out to him and did not connect earlier today. But in looking at the bill, I do have some questions. Town's billed $3, I think, a mile for transportation. So for 60 miles, it's $180, but more, the bigger question I have is that there were 2 days that were required to work on this for a total of 10 3/4 hours, with one individual being paid $105 per hour and the other individual being paid $77.50. And I'm not sure why that happened. And I want a description in the voucher. Unfortunately, the highway superintendent isn't here, so I want to bring to the board's attention. I want to pass it down. Don't have a copy of it. You see what you're going to take on the phone or whatever you'd like to do. But it's a very expensive repair. I can read it to you here. Phone.
Feel free, I don't believe my phone works out here. I have to.
So we're trying to contact the highway superintendent. I'll just read briefly, other than the parts, what occurred. According to the voucher, representative of the company spoke with personnel at site, issued a gas pump losing prime. They were unable to verify. They checked the clock gauge against electronic tank monitor, both matched at 39 inches of product. They found lost transaction to be 9.6 gallons on display pump. Removed worn belt, installed new. Removed Bennett pumping unit, checked valve and bypass valve assemblies, both in good working condition. Reassembled, verified packing on ball valve tight. Verified 1.5 inch union is tight. Tested many times. Pumping unit acts like there's a blockage. They will need to return the tune. That was on, well, they have a service date, all on the 14th, but they indicated in the voucher that they had to return in the day. Then the following day, they troubleshot further, found meter not returning, a two-stage valve between filter and meter not opening, installed filter bypass, a snap tap assembly, pumping unit makes pressure and pulls product. Site will need a new valve with solenoid and meter, sent photos to BS. Which in parentheses is a gas boy, this tank top pump with a pumping unit with cabinet. We'll also need filter bypass removed and new 40510A-AD filter installed. That was on the 15th. And then looks like on the 21st, so we're shifting back a second day, third day. Gas boy CFT meter for 9120K models. Without coil, doesn't say what it did, but looks like, well, actually on that day they removed the existing valve and meter assembly, swap needed parts, and then on the 23rd, needed to replace Atlas 9800 CPU BD at pump number 2, gas pump purge, reset hose position, Petrovend FSC 3000, Phoenix software test all working good. So I don't know what you would like to do with this voucher this evening.
Well, it's not gonna get any, the charge will not be any less, I think, if we wait on it. I guess we weren't aware of all the charges that were gonna come our way, the work's been done. I think it's not probably the protocol we wanted to see carried out.
I think so. Yeah, I think the town needs to be made aware of an ongoing project. At least be kept abreast that this, haven't fixed it, and we need to do some more.
No, I get it. I look at this and I think about it as being an emergency type repair. And we should have been informed about it up front. Getting it at this point, I mean, the first I heard that the pumps were down was when we were talking about the bill for the village last week or 2 weeks ago. It would have been nice to hear up front, but I'm also in that thought of a company did come in to work for the town and it was necessary for the operation of the town. So my thought is let's pay it.
I agree with John. The thing is, it sounds like from the description in the voucher, is that they kept finding more and more stuff. So it would probably be hard for the department head to figure out when the $2,000, limited in the rates. If these guys just kept finding stuff, and it has to be repaired. So like I said, go ahead and
And the next one is for the LA Group PC. We have invoices for August and September, which are higher than the contracted amount of the town. And this was the result of an increase in the number of meetings with zoning and planning. And the total amount of vouchers would be $13,127.50. If you recall, there is language in not only the expired contract, the current one, that if you're going to, the company's going to exceed the contracted amount, the supervisor is required to be notified. I was notified, however, my office did an email to the LA Group indicating that reminding them what the contract says. So obviously the work was performed, so town board, my recommendation is to authorize it.
I would agree with that. We need a motion on that.
I think we decide. And I have another voucher from Highway. It's in relation to mowing the landfill, which we have tabled before, and I'm going to ask that on the table again this evening because the department has not here to answer some specific questions. Mainly what I have is the first time we mowed it this year, it took 39.5 hours, and last year it took 20. And the previous year, the second mow took 25 hours, and this year, I'm sorry, yeah, 25 hours this year. Last year it took 27 hours. Also, the rates that the town is being charged presumes the equipment is new, brand new, and doesn't take into account depreciation. And I think the town should be treated fairly when we're covering the costs for reimbursement to the highway fund. So I do have more questions for the highway superintendent. I was hoping to have them answer today, but I did not connect. So I'm going to table that one. You got those? Yeah. So while we're getting signatures on those two vouchers, we do need to perform some transfers. There's 3 of them. The first one, entertain a motion that $32,169.83 be transferred from account DB 5142.1, which is highway snow removal personal services. That same amount go to account DB 5110.1, which is highway general repairs personal services. And this is a result, and this is for the highway department's paving payroll. If you recall, we do the budget and we always split the cost between snow removal and general repairs, because we never really know what the labor costs are going to be. Beginning this year, 2021, we do have highway accounting accurately for how much time is spent doing each. So we'll be able to report to the board at the end of this year, which will be very helpful when the budget's coming up. So I entertain a motion, open motion and a second on that item.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. The next transfer is for $309 from account A1990.4, which is general contingent account. And that be transferred to account A4220.4, which is general narcotics control. And the purpose of the transfer of the funds is for DOT drug testing of current employees.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And finally, I entertain a motion to transfer $1,498.03 from account DB 5112.493.4, which is highway improvements blacktop Nova chip, to account DB 5110.493, which is highway general repairs road materials. And the purpose of this transfer is to purchase road materials for the highway department.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Anything else for audit?
Thank you very much, Karen.
So at this time, I entertain a motion to pay the bills as audited.
So.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, Tammy. This is, it's all signed.
They're all signed.
Sure. You can take this one. So we'll choose them.
All right, thank you.
And so,
You do, thanks.
for audit, so I entertain a motion to close out.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
I could have run it like
Do we want
Everything's still.
to spend as these? Try to close. Keep it on. Oh, Tim. We all set? All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to a meeting of the regular meeting of the Road Town Board for October 26, 2021. And ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Hogan.
Here.
Councilmember Newman.
Here.
Councilmember Van Tassel.
Here.
Councilmember Donahue.
Here.
Supervisor Kuzniers.
Here. And ask that everyone please rise for pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Item 1 on the agenda this evening is approval of minutes. I don't know if we can take them all together and actually we cannot. So I entertain a motion to approve the minutes of September 28, 2021, which is the audit meeting, as well as the regular town board meeting on that same date. So you may not.
So moved.
Present. You can. Nope. You withdraw your motion. I withdraw my motion. Somebody like to move those. So is there a second?
Yes.
All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? One abstention.
Sorry, I lost my agenda, I was distracted.
And then we have the budget workshops for October 6th and 7th. I believe everyone's present.
Yes.
Would someone like to move those?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the budget workshop meetings for October 6th and 7th.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. I don't have it listed on the agenda, but there is another set available for October 12th. Which was a regular town board meeting, but I didn't have a chance to really take it up at the next meeting. All right, so we take the next meeting. All right, sure. Item 2 on the agenda this evening, as has been customary for a year and a half or longer, brief COVID-19 update. And there's a little bit of a lag in the data reporting from the New York State Department of Health and the CDC. Usually the information I'm providing is from today or the current day of board meeting. So this is current as of October 24th. The 7-day rolling average positivity rate in the county is 3.4%. Number of active cases is presently 384. And at this point in time, there's 31 residents hospitalized from the county. A little closer to home, town of Monroe. We have 31 active positive cases presently, and there are 7 active positive cases in the village. And just to provide an update on the percentage of the population that has been vaccinated, that have received at least one dose, age 12 and older. 86.7% of the population has received that one dose. 81.3% are considered fully vaccinated. In the population of 18 and older, 87.5% of individuals have received one dose, and 82% are fully vaccinated. And the population 65 and older is incredible. We have 99.3% of the individuals that have received at least one dose, and 91.2% are deemed fully vaccinated. So the county's doing an incredible job with their efforts under the leadership of Commissioner Dan Cools. Actually, I'll be having a press conference Thursday morning at 10:30, where we'll be announcing some exciting news where we have been chosen to have a pilot program in conjunction with Saratoga County and Southland Falls Central School District in relation to adjusting quarantine time based on protocol. CDC has been working very closely with our commissioner, and this pilot program will be evaluated to see if it's something they want to implement across New York State and other regions in the country, depending on what the numbers indicate. So I'll have more information on that Thursday at 10:30 at Saratoga County.
If I may add, the timing on that, I don't know if it was by chance or what, but before I came here tonight, 6 o'clock on the news, Mark Mulholland was at Tanglewood School with Superintendent of Schools, Christine Orr. They interviewed a parent and her child, and they talked pretty much right about everything you just mentioned there. So the community is now aware that they heard from you and heard from the news.
Yeah, the press release I think went out a couple hours ago. So we'll have more details on that to follow. All right, item 3 on the agenda is local law 3 of 2021 in relation to park hours. As I indicated earlier at the beginning of the public hearing that was held earlier this evening, the reason for the need for the public or the amendment to our local ordinance is that our code currently specifies that our recreational facilities shall be open between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. and provides for no flexibility on the part of the town. Town board wanted to move forward to allow the board that flexibility and establishing hours based on time of year, season, etc. And so we have the local law with us before us this evening. My recommendation would be to move for its adoption, especially since it's getting darker a lot sooner, and we should be able to have that flexibility moving into when sports at the back without running foul of our local code. So, have we got everything completed regarding?
Well, you have to actually go through seeker first.
All right, so
So if
do
you
we
want,
do EAF first?
yes, so you have before you parts 1, 2, and 3 of your short EAF or this unlisted action. Generally speaking, part 1 just describes that it is a local law. Part 2 is the impact assessment, where you go through and answer the questions to discern whether the adoption of the law will have any environmental impact. And then part 3 is your determination as to whether there will be a significant environmental impact. As I generally do with local laws of this type, I took the liberty of going through and identifying that the answer to each of the questions is that there will be no or a small impact will occur with the adoption of this law. Of course, it is the town board's prerogative to go through that and tell me if you want to change any of those. And that's where you're at this point.
All right, I think, so at this time, will we read the resolution of the board, then go through?
No, you have to do seeker first.
All right. You want to lead us in that?
Well, that's my question, is you have before you part two.
Yep.
Part two has the, I think, 11 questions through it that I've answered no or small impact. If you would like, I can go through each of the questions and have the board answer them, or if the board is comfortable with what they have before it, the board can just turn around and issue a negative declaration.
I'm comfortable with responses of 1 through 11, part 2. All being lower, small impact. Anybody else?
I would agree with that, I'm comfortable.
All right,
Well,
And if the board is comfortable, I'm sorry,
I didn't know exactly.
What did he say?
he said he was comfortable with it.
Just accepting it as a negative impact?
Well, I didn't ask that question yet.
Okay,
I believe he was comfortable with the answers to 1 through 11 being a no or small impact.
yes, I agree.
Then the next question is on part 3, which is the following page, indicates that the board determines after taking a hard look under seeker that there will be no significant environmental impacts and will issue a negative declaration. Is that the board's prerogative here?
yes.
So at that point, Mr. Supervisor, you go to the resolution. And in the resolution, the adoption resolution, you are also issuing a negative declaration.
so don't have to separate.
Nope, it's one resolution.
All right, then I shall ask the clerk to read the resolution. The record.
Resolution Town Board, Town of Monroe, subject adoption of local law number 3 of 2021, repealing section 102-1 and replacing with new section 102-1 of the code of the Town of Monroe. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Monroe is considering the adoption of local law number 3 of 2021, which if adopted as proposed would repeal the existing section 102-1 of the code of the Town of Monroe in its entirety and replace it with new section 102-1, allowing the town park hours to be set by resolution of the town board. And whereas the board finds that the adoption of local law number 3 of 2021 is in the best interest of the town, and it is necessary to provide for the health, safety, and welfare of town residents and property owners. And whereas the board finds that the adoption of local law number 3 of 2021 is a necessary and proper exercise of authority by the board. And whereas the authority for the enactment of this local law is found in section 10(1)(I) of the Municipal Home Rule Law. And whereas pursuant to section 20 of the Municipal Home Rule Law, a public hearing on the proposed action of local law number 3 of 2021 was properly noticed in the newspaper and posted and was duly conducted on October 26, 2021 at the town municipal complex. And whereas the board has considered the public comments made at the public hearing, and whereas the board serving as lead agency for this unlisted action under seeker reviewed a short environmental assessment form and determined that the action does not present any adverse environmental impacts. And whereas after thorough review and deliberation, the board proposes to adopt local law number 3 of 2021. And whereas the attorney for the town has prepared the necessary documents for filing this local law with the Secretary of State, including the text of the law itself. Now therefore be it resolved that the board hereby adopts local law number 3 of 2021, which amends the law as stated above. And be it further resolved that the board adopts and authorizes the filing of a negative declaration. And be it further resolved that the board hereby authorizes the town clerk and the attorney for the town to make such minor modifications to the local law documents as they deem necessary, and thereafter are directed to execute and file the said documents as required by law and to take all of the necessary action for the promulgation thereof.
So
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried unanimously, and that will become effective upon filing with the Agenda item 4 is proposed local law number 4 of 2021, and this is in relation to solar energy system pilot law. And earlier this evening, we held a public hearing on this proposal, and just to reiterate for the regular meeting, anybody who may just be joining us. The background on this is New York State mandates that assessor offices accept Form RP 487 solar and wind exemptions. And what this exemption, what it does is exempts the value of all real property associated with solar projects from property taxes for 15 years. And this is something that was enacted by the legislature, approved and signed into law by the governor a while back, previous governor, in an effort to put forward his program where the state would rely more heavily on renewable energy. And it was referred to as the Go Green Plan. And the purpose was to put in place a pilot option that alleviates the tax burden of solar projects, allowing them to be monetarily feasible to build and operate. Under that Go Green Plan, if you didn't have the state subsidies, it would not, those types of projects would not be feasible to their investors. So to ensure that no tax dollars are lost, the towns, municipalities across the state are able to enter into pilot agreements with solar developers or system owners. And under these pilots, the town would collect money in annual payments. Obviously, they can't exceed the amount of taxes that would have been owed without the exemption in place. Typically, pilots are negotiated for 15-year durations with language that allows them to be extended for additional 10 years after 15. Taxing jurisdictions have the option under state law to opt out of accepting this exemption and allow solar farms to be fully taxable. The town board did not exercise the option to opt out. And not only the town of Monroe, Saratoga County, and Southland Small Central School District have not exercised that option. However, the school district of Hudson Falls has opted out, and that's significant because, at least to the companies locating in our industrial park, because the industrial park is located in the Hudson Falls School District, and they opted out back in 1991.
So is the entire industrial park within the Hudson Falls School District?
Yes.
Okay.
So, would you like to add to that, Leah? I don't know.
I think you summed it up.
Okay. Anything, Counselor, anything you need to add?
No, it's just the same process we can go through
Yeah.
as with the last one.
So would the board like to move this forward at this time? The reason that we're actually in this position to get this completed is that we do have a proposed solar project before the planning board that would be located in the industrial park. So that's why we need to move forward.
We should move forward, in my opinion. Are we speaker?
Everybody in favor?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right, so with that, Council, you want to go through the short? Yeah.
Sure, it's the same, same form we did for the prior local law. Part one is the same, it just indicates that it's a local law. Part two, again, are those 11 questions, and I again took the liberty of identifying that it's a no or small impact. And part three would be that the board took a hard look under seeker to identify whether or not there was a significant environmental impact. So it is up to the board, again, remembering that the action under seeker is the adoption of the law. So if you want to go through again as you did last time and just accept that there is no or small impact in the answers to questions 1 through 11, we can do that. Or if the board wants me to read them, I can do them too.
I'm one to accept the answers.
I'll accept 1 through 11 as being no or small impact, maker.
And is it the board's determination to go through and issue a negative declaration in its resolution?
Yes.
Mr. Supervisor, the adoption resolution, same as the last one, has your negative declaration in it.
So at this time, I would ask the clerk to read the adoption of local law for 2021.
Resolution Town Board, Town of Monroe, subject to adoption of local law 4 of 2021, adding solar energy system pilot law to the code of the Town of Monroe. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Monroe is considering the adoption of local law number 4 of 2021, which, if adopted as proposed, would add solar energy system pilot law of the Town of Monroe, New York to the code of the Town of Monroe. Whereas the board finds that the adoption of local law 4 of 2021 is in the best interest of the town, and it is necessary to provide for the health, safety, and welfare of the town residents and property owners. And whereas the board finds that the adoption of local law 4 of 2021 is a necessary and proper exercise of authority by the board. And whereas the authority for the enactment of this local law is found in section 10(1)(I) of the Municipal Home Rule Law. And whereas pursuant to section 20 of the Municipal Home Rule Law, a public hearing on the proposed adoption of local law number 4 of 2021 was properly noticed in the newspaper and posted and was duly conducted on October 26, 2021 at the town municipal complex. And whereas the board has considered the public comments made at the public hearing, and whereas the board serving as lead agency for this unlisted action under seeker reviewed a short environmental assessment form and determined that the action does not present any adverse environmental impacts. And whereas after thorough review and deliberation, the board proposes to adopt local law number 4 of 2021. And whereas the attorney for the town has prepared the necessary documents for filing this local law with the Secretary of State, including the text of the law itself. Now therefore be it resolved that the board hereby adopts local law number 4 of 2021. Be it further resolved that the board adopts and authorizes the filing of a negative declaration. And be it further resolved that the board hereby authorizes the town clerk and the attorney for the town to make such minor modifications to the local law documents as they deem necessary, and thereafter are directed to execute and file the said documents as required by law, and to take all of the necessary action for the promulgation thereof.
Thank you. Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously, and again, this will be in full force effect once filed with the Department of State. Next item I have is for discussion this evening. You have before, I think all board members received a copy of this. In talking with our assessor, she brought a recommendation to me in relation to the senior citizens low income real property tax exemption. Town of Monroe has one. Was initially acted by the town of Monroe in 1967, and after that the income limit has been increased 9 times over the years, with the last time the adjustment was made was 1996, and the established scale in 96 was set with a baseline of approximately a 50% reduction with a threshold of 17,500. Those who qualify for this program, you have to be 65 years or older. The home in which the exemption is sought must be the primary residence of the senior. Income of all owners and owner spouses must fall within the established scale. And they must have resided in this home at least 1 year prior to the initial application, or had an exemption at the prior residence in the town. There's requirements for proof of income eligibility, and the reason that I'm bringing this to the board this evening is if it's something we want to do for the 2023 tax year, we have to get it on the books before the end of this year. Why should we be looking at this now? Value of the dollar, this would be a COLA. The median household home incomes have increased in the past 21 years. For example, in 96, Federal poverty guidelines for a household of two was 10,360. In 2021, it's increased to 17,420. And the median household income in New York State compared year to year, back in 2000 was 40,536. 2019, 73,706. And I can tell you that it's actually harder than that. In Saratoga County, we have the highest household median income in all of upstate, outside metropolitan area at over $84,000. Just Saratoga County leads the way in that. So because this has not been adjusted in all these years, I thought it was something the town should consider. I'm going to be bringing it up at the county level as well before the end of the year. And with that, I'm just turning it over to our assessor to either add anything that you think is important that I left out or answer any questions that the board may have specific to this proposal.
I am very much looking forward to hopefully implementing this. Like Todd said, the scale hasn't been adjusted in 25 years, and obviously we know the value of money has changed drastically. This exemption is going to be most helpful to our seniors that need it the most. The goal is to keep them in their homes as long as we can, with a reduction of property taxes if they need it. Currently, we have 101 seniors on this program. I don't know how many will come on board after we implement the new level. That's something of the unknown. We're very willing and looking forward to helping all those seniors though. And obviously any questions that seniors have or you can answer those in the manifest specifics to what income counts and what doesn't.
Yeah, and I think, you know, what we've seen in the past several months with inflation, high fuel costs, high heating bills, you know, it's time. This is, if there ever was an appropriate time, the time is now to address that. And so what this would be doing is increasing threshold to 32,500.
32,400.
400. And if you take a look at right now, the county does it, but the threshold is 15,000. I think it's sweetly a small number, which is why I'd like to look at that countywide. And the school district just adopted the level to 24,000.
Correct. So we would be matching the school district. To receive the maximum 50% off your assessed value, you have to make below 24,000. To receive anything off of your assessed value, you'd have to make below the 32,400, and that would get you 5%. The school district just had a public hearing last week, and they'll be voting next month to adopt it by resolution.
Yeah, and if you look at some of the regional schools and municipalities, Boston Spas at 24,000, Shenandoah is at 29,000, Saratoga Springs School District at 29,000, Schuylerville Schools at 29,000, Town of Wilton's at 24,000. We're very similar to the Town of Wilton, the number of seniors and many other characteristics. Town of Malta is at 18,500, Greenfield's at 15,000, Town of Providence and Town of Hackman are both at 29,000. So I think it's something that has the ability to help those most of the, especially the fixed incomes, allow them to stay in their homes. They can be independent rather than having being forced out to this with property taxes to seek other options.
So we're going to move forward on this.
So we would have to set a public hearing on that. Did we put that in draft language or no?
We do. You have the draft language and you have the draft notice of public hearing.
Yeah, so we'd have to, by resolution, establish the public hearing. If the board wants to move forward with that, my recommendation would be to hold it on November 4th, because we're going to have a budget public hearing on that same date.
And will that give you enough time to publish?
Exactly.
It's next Thursday.
5 days notice
Right.
for this? Yes. Yes.
That's fine.
We actually have no choice on the budget, it is.
No, not the budget, I meant for this.
Oh, okay. So, is that something the board would like to?
Yeah, yes, I'd like to move forward.
All right, so, I'll entertain a motion. Entertain a motion, to establish a public hearing on the senior citizen real property tax law amendment exemption to our code for, November 4th at 5:45. Presuming we're gonna schedule the budget at 6. Yeah. Somebody want to move it?
So,
Second,
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Anything else from us, Councilman?
I do not.
And clerk has the notice of public hearings and all that.
thank you for bringing that forward.
Thank you for considering that.
Thank you.
you're not gonna stand.
It only gets better from here.
That'll have never,
All right, item 6 on the agenda is the town hall generator, our backup generator that's behind the building here. As the board is aware, we have a service agreement with Milton Cat where they come monthly and basically check it out, do routine maintenance as necessary. And it did not start the last time it was tested. And we have an estimate for repair for it. The board has a copy of it. The estimate for the repair is $1,228. And if you look at the actual cost of the parts, it appears that the parts are $168.87 under miscellaneous and $22.15. Which is a pretty good repair for our service contract is $1,228. So obviously this is something that needs to be addressed, but the labor in that quote is $824. And you know, I tried to reach out. I did reach out to the highway superintendent and get back to see. You know, we have a mechanic who works on capital engines. To see if that was something they would be able to swap out for us and save us mileage. But I didn't get that, so I don't know if the board wants to $200.
Not functioning now.
I'm not sure. I think it was slow to start.
There's a right somewhere on this. Oh yeah, I don't know, can we read that already?
I think Thursday is supposed to start, some, because it's program test that can start this week. Apparently last week it was still an issue, they were able to get it started, but if they can't, they're looking at it and see what it's supposed to be.
So
I agree with, I think that's an absorbent rate for labor, for the questions, what we do, we go without a generator, or we fix it and pay their costs.
well, my recommendation to give us options would be to authorize the vendor to make the repair, necessary repair, after it being looked at by a mechanic, see if it's something we can do. If we can do it, then we'll just purchase the parts and go from there. Sure.
sounds good.
If that can happen, great.
So the resolution would be to authorize the expenditure of up to $1,228.80 for building cat to do necessary labor and parts repair to the backup generator at town hall. Subject to fire review by the highway department.
Yes, so
Second, any discussion? All in favor?
Right.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Oh, and just for the record, if we have to pay the full amount, it'll be coming from account A1620.401, which has a current balance of $15,556.80 as of September 30th. Alrighty, recreation department. And I'm going to have a request. I'll let Councilmember Hogan provide that detail because I guess the correspondence went to you. Not to me.
very possibly. So it has to do with pole barn that we discussed for cold storage of equipment at the rack. I had a conversation with Peter, our regulator, was to get 3 apples to apples quotes for a building. He reached out to Curtis Lumber, first 2 building systems, and DIY pole barns. Curtis Lumber came in at the lowest price for the actual package of $12,684.47. First 2 building systems had a price quote of $18,186, and DIY pole barns had a price quote of $18,659.28. This was something that was budgeted for this year, and he's been concerned about the building on this, and we've had discussions, and the rec department will provide a waiver. He reached out to a couple different individuals to act as clerk of the works to oversee the project. We don't have a price on that yet, but what I told him was to get the materials to get them there so that we can at least have it on site to get started as soon as we can act on it. These were the prices, and I'd like to move forward with purchasing the building materials for this cold storage building from Curtis Lumber at his recommendation from Curtis Lumber for $12,684.47. And it's for a 24 by 40 foot pole barn cap. And it has model siding and roofing as for use of equipment storage at the area of park.
So a couple of thoughts on that. We don't have the necessary skilled labor to put that, in my opinion, in a timely fashion, number one. Number two, this will be coming out of the capital fund, which means it's subject to a permissive referendum, which would put potential public hearing right around Thanksgiving holidays. I've been on the board in a different capacity when previous administrations used to schedule public hearings around the holiday. I think it's unfair to our residents. It does a disservice to them, number one. Number two, we budgeted for it in next year's budget. And I don't think we should. Yeah.
I thought it was pulled out because
It's back in.
Okay.
So rather than being rushed, my recommendation would be that we address this in the 2022 year.
I guess I had forgotten that we had put in this year's, the 2022 budget. If our equipment isn't, gonna be damaged by lack of storage, we don't need that this year. I'd be willing to wait till 2022.
And, you know, just for the record, this was budgeted for this year and it was budgeted for last year. So you know, there is a commitment by the board to provide that funding. Because we've got it in this year's budget, next year's budget, I think it'd be more appropriate to take it. And, you know, we need to get definitive costs on if we're gonna have to hire outside labor to do it. You know, we got to pay prevailing wage. There's more to the cost than there's the $12,000. So I think we need to be provided with more information to have a viable project so that gets to completion time and fashion. So my recommendation would be that we take this up after the year.
But, you know, being this late in the season, I tend to agree with you. Rather than try to rush something through. As soon as the frost is on the ground in the spring, I'd like to see us get on this, follow it through and get it done. So I tend to agree it's kind of late in the season. And once again, you know, we're gonna have to have somebody, a contractor, put this thing up. It's something I think that needs some expertise. Like you talk about a clerk at work, we'll hire a contractor that's got a clerk and put this thing on, get this thing done right. And right now, we'd be rushing the thing, and there's gonna be frost on the ground pretty soon. So I think wait until spring.
Any other thoughts? Take it up.
As long as it's in the budget for next year, take it up.
Okay.
That way. That's fine.
Everybody,
Are you withdrawing your motion?
I guess I am.
Just to add, Mr. Olszewski is online and he had a comment here that says here that it is in the budget for 2022 and there'll be no issues storing equipment under the one of the pavilions. Great.
Well, no, I think the buildings and grounds. Yeah, kind of dealing with that.
okay. So I think that's all I have. Obviously, we'll be taking up the hours once the local law is received notification as received by the Department of State.
Yep.
Item 8 on the agenda is the Van Buren Street water main extension. This is something that the town board is correcting for whatever reason. Years ago in the previous administration, the water infrastructure in Water District 1 was not installed in front of several parcels on Van Buren Street. And so town has an obligation to make that correct, so that follows the map plan report. And the unfortunate thing is that it costs a lot more money than it did back then. So we know that this is approximately $180,000 to $200,000 project, and we have budgeted for it for next year, but we do have to secure the necessary easement so that we can do the install, and that's going to take some time. But as part of that project, the town needs to do secret on it and prepare the agency or whatever.
So I reached out to Don Rhodes from the Burrs with respect to this, and he indicated that this is something that could be done tonight if you wanted to. But it didn't have to if the board didn't know enough about it. He indicated also he wasn't sure if the project was going to go forward. So that's why, I'm
Well, it won't be, it's not an issue budget, so there won't be legal authority to expend
the funds until
funds
next year.
until next year. So, but we didn't want to slow going out and getting the easements, because we're coming in November.
And the easements have been drafted and they're in your office.
Yeah.
We do have all of those. So we can go through this, looking through,
Is there a private, no, is the board had, we've talked about it quite a time.
Yeah, there's no discussion of that, or eight, the state resident is anxious, so I think that to move forward. Require those in that plan on the original project.
it was sort of put in there, sort of not. But that's fine, and what you would do is add, this is a different kind of seeker than we did for the local laws. This does have a short form, but since this is not a law, you'll see the part one, you go through it, and they did indicate that SHPO parks now had to be involved. The parks did indicate that it was fine with all of this, there was no issues. Because it was near the geological site inventory, so that was fine. You have before you the EAF map or summary, and you have the same part two. And if you look at part two, if the board wants to go forward with seeker, part 7A, it's a different answer than you're used to. I guess my question, Mr. Supervisor, is do you want to go forward doing seeker tonight? Before
I'm
jumping.
hearing from the board, we would like to.
I'm sure.
Okay. So if you want to, we can go through part one. Part one describes the project and has been prepared by the Earth Group as the engineer. And we can go through each of the questions in part one if you want to change any of them, but if you have reviewed them and are accepting to the way that they have been answered, you can go right on to part two. So do you want to go right on to part two? Okay. So part two, if you look at, everything has been marked again as a no or small impact except 7A. 7A says, will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies? And that has been marked as moderate to large impact may occur. It may occur in a positive way though. If you look at part three, it explains what that means, because the proposed project is a water main extension project and obviously therefore will have an impact on the public water supply. By extending the water main, additional users within the existing water district will have the opportunity to connect to the public water supply. It will be brought up to code, all current state and town goals will be met, DOH is reviewing it and will be the one issuing permits. So it is, the engineer has prepared this and indicates that there should be no significant adverse environmental impacts. And again, that's up to the board to make that determination. So I will leave it to you now to identify whether you want to again go through those questions or if you are accepting with all of the determinations set forth before you.
I'm accepting of the determinations made before me.
So then what you would do is you would want a resolution indicating that there is no significant environmental impact and that the board wishes to issue a negative declaration under seeker. The board as lead agency wants to issue a negative declaration under seeker. That would be your motion.
So.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So we're all set on that project for now.
Yes, I will advise Mr. Rose that that passed and we will go forward with setting up the easements and moving forward.
I have been getting several calls from property owners. So it's good that we're going on tonight. Yes. All right, water department agenda item number 9, couple items. The first one is the board should have received correspondence. Actually, the clerk received it. The board should have gotten copies from my office regarding the letter from the Office of the State Controller that was dated October 25th, acknowledging receipt of the order of the town board consolidating the water districts above. I'll report that for the record. Also, we have the water ordinance before us. Back, I don't know how long ago, it was on the first draft, I asked department heads and board members to review, and we were provided with a red line copy based on the comments we received back. Those were incorporated into the document. We sent it I think either today or yesterday to our department heads. I think I sent the board members as well electronically with those changes, and asking if anybody has any more input. So I don't know if at this time the board has any comments or recommended changes. I'd like to keep the ball rolling on this, which it's critical to keep on the consolidation timeline for our water districts. So with that, we would have to establish a public hearing on that for adoption.
If you are ready to set the public hearing, you would do the same thing you've done earlier today. So I don't believe we have a draft of the notice of public hearing, but I can put that together and send it out.
All right, so we just need the resolution establishing public hearing date.
Yes.
Is that what we want to do? So my recommendation, I had no idea what kind of interest, if any, there will be. We have a public hearing for November 4th at 5:45. We could, is that too close?
I would say maybe the November 9th board meeting.
Say
Before
less-
that. Is that okay?
Say it before the board meeting?
Right.
Yeah, we can do that.
That's just 5 days afterwards.
Yeah, so that's 7 p.m. So 6:30, 6:45. That work for you? Sure. The 9th. Yes. Yeah.
That would be local law number 6.
Prolific. Tends to go here for a little while too.
Yeah, it's been a busy couple of months.
Settle down, so. You're not done yet.
What time did you set that for?
6:45.
6:45?
Was that?
Need a motion to do that?
Yes, and yeah, I'm gonna make sure. All right, 6:45, somebody want to move 6:45 on the 9th.
I can make a motion to schedule a public hearing on the town road water ordinance and regulations for November 9th at 6:45.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Let's see, there's no further action on water until after executive session. Supervisor items. Couple of things, I want to make the board members aware that the Association of Towns annual meeting is going to be at the Marriott Marquis in New York City, February 20th through the 23rd of 2022. And as you're aware, our organization meetings, board members are already authorized to attend if they wish. I strongly recommend, if anybody has the time, that they do, attend, because there's lots of different, workshops that are very beneficial. I presented actually at one, I know Carlos presented at them before. And it's well worthwhile. So I have the information in my office, and we want the details on cost, registration, just reach out to Lisa, she can make that happen. And I got the sales tax report for August activity. And very good news for the county, specifically town of Monroe. We have received total, let's see, that's right, $2,584,022 year to date in 2021, and for this past quarter, it's a 3.48% increase over last year's numbers, October to October, which is good. And we will have to determine what we want to do with our excess sales tax at our next board meeting, probably. Which one we want to go to, and I'll make you aware what that number is when we get closer to the end of the year. And we'll go from there. Very good news. As you all know, our good portion of our budget is, relies on sales tax. So anytime that it's growing and not shrinking, is very good news for our residents. You have a request, I don't think it requires to be acted on, Councilmember Noonan, in relation to barricades. Sure. Did you get an answer on that?
I didn't. I wonder if Alex McDonald's maybe reach out to him for tonight. But so every year, in the neighborhood in which I live, there's been somebody likes to host a Halloween parade on Halloween, and it requires the board to approve the block party granting a request of that. And a neighbor of ours has requested of mine to do it this year. It would be Halloween, October 31st. A small portion of Jerome Lane will be closed off where Jerome meets Pine Valley, down to where Jerome meets Common Road. All the neighbors are aware. At this point, it'd probably be the 4th year, so that's happened. They look forward to it. We invite the whole neighborhood over. Take part. It's become kind of a Halloween tradition in the neighborhood. Adults are near the barricades in case any emergency vehicles have to go through. There's really like 4 or 5 houses that it affects, but no neighbors have had any issues to date with it. So the request is to do it again this year, seeking board approval to grant the block parade request.
That requires resolution.
Yes.
Is that a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to for board approval for the block party request October 31st. Portion of Jerome Lane will be closed from about 4 until 6 p.m.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So you're good with that?
Yes, the children can have Halloween. Thanks to you guys.
All right. And all I have left under supervisor items is just an update. If you recall, we had a request for a street light on the corner of Route 9 and Blanchard, and as the board is well aware, required creation of lighting district. I also asked highway superintendent to reach out to the superintendent or the county resident engineer, Saratoga County, for New York State DOT. And highway superintendent did speak with the engineer. He spoke with traffic safety. He said it's covered under National Grid work order with the state. The town has to pay for cost of it. So before I reach out to the property owner, what is the mechanics of creating a lake district? Is that the onus of those in the area?
I have to look at that. It's been such a long time since we created
So-
a lake district,
All
but
right. if you could
I'll put
just-
that on my.
Yeah, I'd like to, before I reach out to her.
Yes, absolutely.
So what have for supervisor items? So we do require an executive session for the purpose of, oh, I'm sorry, John, sorry about that. Do you have a committee report?
Well, just, as far as where it goes, they had the, Halloween bash this last week. Crowd was a huge success. They were glad we had it. And, well, both the kids were down, for one reason or another, but one was volunteering as a spook out in the woods for on an A-ride. And I had driven through, and it was quite busy, even at 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. In regards to buildings and grounds, apparently there's still an issue with the hot water heater here in this building. They're trying to get it repaired. It looks like they had to order another part for it, but should be repaired soon.
Yeah, the part of the issue with that is that when the building was constructed, nobody put in place any kind of regular annual maintenance. And so it has resulted in some issues. And so another item that I take care of.
Right, so then there's the other with the buildings and grounds with T8 flushing balls and orange summer balls, just to try to fix some of the lights that are out here in the hall. But what I see in here is that they have the old bulbs, and it's looking to dispose of them. It's, I'm assuming the mercury, probably CFL, which would have mercury in them. Do we have an idea where those are going?
I don't know where business is.
Pretty sure they probably throw one at the transfer station. That would be illegal.
I don't know.
Okay, I didn't know, maybe with county recycling, maybe we'd have an in, or they had an idea there.
I can look into it, but, see. So that's, I thought they have mercury in it.
I think the CFLs do.
Oh, the old ones.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that that's what they still are. For us, a light bulb has mercury with it. LEDs do not, and I think that we're trying to convert all to LEDs, but I don't think that
Good.
all of that.
Well, I can call, Public Works down there, or, Public Works, and just see what they do with theirs, what they have. And report back.
Yeah, we let me know, just a phone call is fine, or a text even.
Anything else?
No.
Any other community reports?
Just a very brief update, the technology so hard to do, they did finally show up, Spectrum was on site. So we may be getting the circuits installed here sooner than later, I guess they're working on some permitting with National Grid, but that will let us implement the phone system and connect all the offices in one phone system. That's gonna make calling a lot easier for residents to call in, not have to hang up and dial the numbers, they could just, extension dial or highway reps.
Okay,
Update was that progressive?
thank you. All right, so I will need an executive session for the purpose of receiving a update on our contract negotiations with the city of Glens Falls in relation to sewer capacity. And we'll be receiving an update from our sewer team, special counsel, and our engineer as part of that executive session.
Yeah, I think Alan would like to discuss the unnamed employee, the employment history of an unnamed employee.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, we're in executive session.
We'll talk like this. Sorry. Let's see here. Video.